Hey guys, welcome back to Fleetyards Mission Briefings. I'm Captain Foley.
And Commander Cockings. And we are going to a universe close to my heart. But Stuart, you've got more of a spiel, so continue.
That's right. Usually we go to a universe or a galaxy far, far away a long time ago, but this one's actually really close to home, as you'll find out. But this here on Fleetyards Mission Briefings, what we do is we look at ships from other franchises, sci-fi franchises, really cool ships, lots of great stuff out there, lots to look at, and we love talking about ships and just really cool sci-fi stuff. So let's get into it. What are we looking at today, Samuel?
An interesting one, for sure, and it's the Stargate Death Glider.
Oh, you mean the Klingon Discovery Bird of Prey? Very cool.
/ Centauri fighter from Babylon 5. Yeah, bit weird that, although this one came first, sort of. I mean, if you look at the design, just straight out of the gate, it's super simplistic, like, it's an easy concept for a glider. So, I mean, the fact the shape was replicated in other things, not overly surprised, but hey-ho. Yes, the Stargate Death Glider, theoretically designed by the Goa'uld, although within the show they know to have stolen technology, so we can't be sure, but at least it's a Goa'uld design, so much as it's been changed. So from the show SG-1, features in the universe as well. So, Stuart, do you know Stargate? Have you watched Stargate? And do you know Death Glider? And did you have any first impressions? I guess because it came out in the movie first, which we'll definitely talk about in a minute, but your history of the ship and Stargate and stuff. Go!
Yes, I've seen the movies. I've seen a few. As you know, I keep seeing the same like 5 or 6 episodes of Stargate whenever it's on. I need to sit down and watch the whole thing. I'm more into Atlantis than I am the regular Stargate. But anyway, so yes, I'm familiar with the ship, but I know it most, I think, from the movie because I watched the movie a few times. And yeah, it's a cool design, I gotta say. It's very Egyptian-esque. But there's a reason for that, obviously.
Yeah, speaking of, the next picture is the very first time we saw it in the 1994, I believe, movie. But it's gone through sort of iterative changes throughout the years. And we're going to quickly look at this start and then look at the one from the show. So as you can see, yeah, obviously Egyptian architecture, because the idea behind the Goa'uld as a race is that they're aliens, and as soon as they found Earth, they became our gods in a sense, and they took this. Well, either they stole the style, or also they were the style. It's kind of mostly were the style. But yeah, so the Death Gliders, they have wings that flip out. In the next picture, you can see it a bit more clearly. I mean, this was one thing that the show took from the movie. They just changed it a bit, but it's very much the same design, which was great, because the show isn't a reboot. It's a sort of very, very soft reboot. It's more, we're going to flesh out the movie, but keep it very much in the line. The next picture is the handsome pilot of said Death Glider.
Those are such cool helmets. I love those.
The art design for the movie was very, very good. Yeah. Next shot is a funny one, because A, it shows off the staff cannons, which we'll show a little bit later as well, but because this movie was miniatures, and I know how it is later on, if you look, that's why I show the pilot, you can see the pilot in the shot, there's no canopy, he's literally sitting in a cubby hole of this fighter.
Never noticed that before, but thank you for ruining that for me.
That's what I mean. It's like, I mean, he's in a helmet, so why not? But there's no canopy. And there are some controls in the movie, and they're quite simple, sort of weird. But you can see how they might have decided to change it a little bit when they went further on. Because it's all miniatures, so it was a real... And
am I mistaken? Do these cannons not open up and then fire? Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yep, and we'll do a close with those later on. I just want to just cover the movie stuff first, just for the fans out there. Next picture, look, it's in the TV series. And then, now the next picture is 7.5, just a bit of scale.
With what?
Because, you know, now obviously you haven't seen some later stuff, so that's a version of the Goa'uld Death Glider. One of the original models from the show, it's the one we happen to have. It's one of the later ones, so it's theoretically better detailed. And it's slightly close to the movie one. Again, they've changed a bit. Next to it is the X-302, Earth's first original fighter design. And you can see the scale is somewhat different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as humans, we have more primitive tech, right? So we're trying to kind of emulate what they have, and that's fairly, a good representation. So no problem there.
Yeah. People don't realize how big the our fighter is. Because the Death Glider really is just these 2 seats on a very small frame. But the X-302 is, you can see, the cockpits are basically the same size. It's just all the technology behind it, like life support, jet engines, fuel, landing gear. I mean, so it is actually quite a small craft in the realm of sci-fi fighters. We'll look at that in more in depth in a different episode, but if we go back to picture 1 for a second, I mean, what do you think of the actual design then? Like, trying to break down a little bit and say, again, it's quite simplistic, but what's sort of your impressions of it?
Well, I love it for its simplicity. It's just a flying wing, basically, which we have flying wings in modern military today, and it's so elegant and small and sleek. It's just such a great design. There's nothing to it really, and that what makes it alien, because like you said, when you compare it to our tech, we got all the extra bulk in the back and stuff, and it's not as refined and squashed down. So I think it's a cool design. I really do. Just not a lot to it. There's not a lot of dimensionality. It's just kind of a bent stick.
Well, we'll see some other angles in a minute. See if because again, things look different from different angles. Although I think you've hit a point there. It's super simple, but it's very clearly designed.
Mm.
Like it's got angles that are aesthetically right, because all they say is right: cockpit, wings, 2 guns, design.
Mm-hmm.
But the shapes and how they integrate and the details, it's more an artistic ship. It has a certain presence.
It's got an elegance. It's got an artistic quality to it. I mean, especially when you go to like the view from the bottom there. The lines that are in it are very reminiscent of like hieroglyphics or some kind of, and it's pretty. It's a pretty ship, the way that they've done that. So yeah,
like I say, it feels designed, not just built. Like this technology is super functional in their universe, and so they said let's build it to look good as well, because part of obviously they pretend to be gods. They have a certain appearance to keep. So therefore, if you can build a ship that maybe they can't understand even more, where are the engines, where are the whatever? There's a certain mystique behind that. And do you want to hear a couple of facts about the design?
Absolutely.
And we'll go back to picture 1. So it's classed, although to be fair, I'm obviously on the Stargate Wikia. A lot of this information is pulled from the magazine. I'm going to ignore the scale numbers because we know those scale numbers are horrendously incorrect.
Yes.
Whereas we're using the original scales from the original 3D models and also comparing them to people, 6-foot scales, and almost every single time, like 9 out of 10 times, people fit in the cockpits and the chairs, which implies it's probably a right scale rather than their scales. But it's a multi-role attack starfighter, Death Glider. It's fueled by a liquid version of Naquadah. The gates are made of Naquadah, and you can have weapons-grade raw Naquadah, like a big block of lead, but this is powered by a special liquid Naquadah, which is a part of the whole process, so it's quite advanced in that. It's got a stick-shift control, apparently. 2 detachable staff cannons. You can, and we've seen multiple episodes that, it goes from being this quite small feeding gun, pull it off, and now, as a man, it's like a big Gatling gun. It is very, very powerful. Pilot, co-pilot, multi-role attack fighter. And used by a lot of people, a lot of different places. There's a weird variant that actually has a transporter ring set in the bottom, but that was retconned out because it didn't really make too much sense. Oh, and apparently the original Death Glider with the open cockpit is called a Goa'uld. It's an open cockpit version.
Very neat. So it's not a mistake. It's just a different design.
Well, it's a re-retcon, but that's a much older one theoretically.
Yeah.
But like I said, the underview, gorgeous lines. I mean, you're sort of looking at any detail to be a detail. I'm assuming the slits in the wings may be like the anti-grav. There's no visible propulsion, so it's probably gravity-based or ion-based, but with very non-visible. I mean, it's advanced. It's very advanced. But almost like a TIE fighter, it's so simple, but advanced, Yeah.
The next shot with kind of from the top, but behind. Again, you get kind of a scarab beetle vibe. You get the beetle shell quality, and I love the markings on these things. They look really cool. Gotta say.
Next picture, picture 9, you can see those big ass cannons. Very natural, very stuck on, and they'll do some damage. Speaking of the next picture, you're right, they do open up. I always like these. I thought it was very
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought that was a cool part where you see them and then they fire. It's really kind of overcomplicated in a way. You know, you got a gun on there. Why have something that closed over it and could possibly malfunction and not, you know, you just have an open gun barrel. I mean, why you have to have such fanciness?
Whereas maybe that's their kind of a safety. Either we're not going to kill you or we are.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I'm just thinking, you know, if something gets jammed, it doesn't open, and you fire the guns, and it's not open all the way, you're gonna like blow your wing off, or.
Oh, Stuart, no, it's fine because it can actually fire without it being open.
Of course it can.
There's the great spot the CG mistake. In some of the episodes, they give them the wrong prop and they don't notice. And there's a great scene in one of the later seasons that I literally was looking at the other day for different reasons, and it's clearly meant to be a Stargate shot. So the Stargate's in the scene, but they're shooting everything but the gate. So it's just two guys walking through a little bit of grass with sound effects, and they get ambushed and they do it and they shoot, but there's no part. I mean, you hear the sound effect as well, but there's no part of it opening. And then after the battle, he just does this, and it's like, you've never opened it, you've never done the thing. There's been a battle, and no one's. So.
That happens though. Those mistakes happen.
Forgot to give them the right prop. It was very cheap. You could. It was a very cheap filming day. Next picture though is the cockpit, very human scale. Obviously, you can start to see the limitations of this. Getting old 3D model textures are a bit limited, but these things are obviously going to be flying and darting and motion blur, so you don't need as much detail as you could.
Now, is this like a F-14, let's say, where you need somebody in the back doing like navigation and stuff, or is it very much a one-person fighter?
Great question.
There's an extra seat just in case.
I mean, it's pilot, co-pilot. I would assume that everything can be done in the front, but the second person is meant to be the weapons, theoretically.
Oh, yeah, same as an F-14. It's the rear radar operator, right? He has the radar. He takes care of the weapons and stuff, especially for long range. Up front is the short range kind of fighter aspect. So
I would say that's exactly what they're pulling from. Now they've got a cockpit and a canopy.
Yes, well, in space, no one can hear you wear a helmet. I don't know. Anyway, next shot is there's O'Neill in the back. Yeah, that's really neat actually. Now does the guy in the front have a face mask on, like a oxygen thing?
Nope.
No. Oh, it looks like it.
No, and they don't think they ever do. No, but yeah, they built a physical part. It was right at the end of the first episode of season 2, and they actually made sort of full-sized pieces, and you can see the nice detail. And some versions of the Death Glider 3D model, if you jump back a second, don't include that back piece with the engravings. But if you jump forward again, you can see clearly that's one of the most obvious details, that back piece, different colours. But that's why I picked this version, because it's slightly more authentic, sort of. Yeah, very human scale, but also not claustrophobic. It's not tight, but it's not free. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Next shot this reminds me of you said TIE Fighter. This reminds me of the TIE Fighter racks on the Star Destroyers, where they're just loaded up at the top and just drop them out.
I mean, how do you launch these things? How are you meant to? And so they sort of kept with what they do in the movie, and they start winged up, and it's a beautiful visual. I think it's really cool. Don't know if it's actually space efficient or not. They have these big racks. Cut to the next picture. You climb into this again. They built a practical version of it, which is really awesome. And then, you talk about things failing, and then these two big servos. You have to pull it right up into the hull. Yeah,
that's kind of like the Gunstar almost, where they have the extension ladder that comes down.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
A little bit.
And again, it's reminiscent of the TIE Fighter. The TIE Fighter you load through the top, though, which seems less complicated than doing this, let's say. But yeah.
Well, next picture, you can see them loading in, and it's a very strange animation they did for this, because it's like, that's a weird thing to try and make. But given this, the entire middle bit is cockpit. There's nothing else in the middle bit. I mean, you can literally see it's up to the seam. There's nothing. So all the technology is probably in the wings and a little bit in the back, but I mean, it's really sophisticated. It hasn't got FTL or anything, so it's not that sophisticated. But it's a very fast, very maneuverable ship that can be in atmosphere, in space.
So the next picture is, of course, the first picture. Again, like I said, this ship is so simplistic and so cool looking. I'm a big fan of ancient Egypt and stuff, so that's one of the reasons I liked the movie when it first came out. I never got into the TV series, which is odd, though. But anyway, I think the design's pretty cool. I like the tie-ins for like the hieroglyphic look, plus the scarab beetles and things. It really speaks to that design, Egyptian look. So I think it's really cool. It's a neat little ship for sure.
Yeah, it's a winner. You know, I've sort of said that before, and it is a small, efficient craft. I mean, it's not very good at sort of mass destruction. You know, it was never equipped with anything bigger than these weapons. So, if you're looking at it, you know, it can't take out capital ships, really. It's really a fighter versus fighter ship. But if you think about what the Goa'uld did, I mean, no one really in the galaxy, before we got into the galaxy, had anything near their technology, and that was what the Goa'uld trying to stop. And so, you know, this versus anyone that hasn't even got airplanes, you know, unlimited fire, energy weapons that can, you know, explode a little bit of space, and fast firing, something that's maneuverable and fast. And I mean, it's a crowd control. It's a scary ship, and so we see it in the movie. You know, they just fly in, cause havoc, and leave. And to the inhabitants, they're thinking we've got fire from the heavens. You know, it's very sort of designed for a different era of warfare, of a keeping control of the peasants sort of way. And obviously, since all the Goa'ulds for some reason show all the same designs, it obviously is in fleets with Alkesh and then things in fights, but really you just have motherships as motherships. You actually don't really see fighters in battles between motherships. I guess these could literally just be for atmosphere and for planet subduction. Yeah, so I wonder how good it would be against other aircraft. We see it get beaten by lots of modern day stuff. I mean, a single missile is good enough. Because you know, this hasn't got homing, this hasn't got whatever, but I don't know, in sort of a simple against ground units, it's very, very effective.
So there's no real shielding systems then.
No, and they did take one out, I believe, with a machine gun once.
Well, I mean, simple ship. Again, that goes back to being like the TIE fighter. The TIE fighter doesn't have shielding, or very minimal shielding, I guess.
Yeah.
One or two blasts and it's pretty much gone. And I like how that correlates with modern day fighter jets. You know, they can be taken down by conventional weapons. So it's not an overpowered ship. It's something that's realistic, and I like that.
So it's kind of closer parallels to real life than we thought.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, and my closing thoughts. I mean, it's always been a classic to me. And yes, there are designs that are quite similar. Looking at you, Centauri fighter. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll do a little cheeky comparison at some point, comparing those models. But I think this is the Egyptian definitive one. You know? It's very good.
And if you want to see the medieval refitted version, you check out Star Trek Discovery. The new Bird of Prey looks like an updated version of this, so you can see more of the Death Glider in Star Trek Discovery. So, guys, what are your thoughts on this ship? Put in the comments below. If you like the video, please click like. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the notification icon, because we upload a lot of cool stuff, and you need to be notified of that kind of stuff. So definitely do that. And check out the Facebook group. We have the Trekyards group and we have the Fleetyards group. Look them both up. Always great stuff being shared on there, and great conversations and things going on. So
yeah, and support on Patreon if you want to help get these shows, other shows, and all the shows coming to you every single week, and sometimes every single day, or a one-time donation. At Trekyards.com. Click that donate button and give a little bit. It goes towards our PayPal, and we can do more great things like this, because it's a backbone of support. I mean, it's fundamentally you watch, we make for you to watch, but then if you come back and support us to make more, everyone wins.
Right. And on that note, we will see you guys in the future. Yes. I'll close out with, until then, I'm Captain Foley. Now bye.
I'm Commander Cockings. Smoothest outro.
Bye, guys.